All right, joining me now to discuss is Iman Foroughtun. He is the chairman of the board and executive director of the New Iran. Thanks for being back with us, Iman. 40 years since the revolution in Iran, and people tend to forget that Iran used to be quite secular, very similar to Western nations in many ways that are now its enemies. Describe for us how Iran changed from being an ally of the U.S. to one of its top enemies.
Hi, Michelle. Well, as you mentioned, the Iran that I was born in and raised at until I was 18 years old was a very secular country. People had the freedom to pray and worship whatever religion they had, but the women did not have to cover themselves, and all these barbaric judgments and punishments for a boy or a girl holding hands or whatever was never there. We had a guy, Khomeini, who was an illiterate person, a religious person, who came in. He lied to the people. He said, oh, I'm going to make life better. Water will be free. Electricity will be free. Everything will be free. Later on, he went on and basically said, well, I lied to you. That wasn't really the case. And for the last 40 years, the Islamic government has been brainwashing all the children in the school and its people about the fact that, they need to chant to death to Israel, death to America. And since then, they have isolated the Iranian people and Iran as a country in the world. They've been supporting terrorism and basically promoting this type of Islamic government and Islamic beliefs that you see every day.
Yeah, they're supporting terrorism. They're chanting death to Israel, death to America. And yet it seems as though the U.S. is still trying to convince the world about the threat of Iran. We have Secretary of State Pompeo trying to get that message across, even with Europe seeing Iran spreading its tentacles to its soil, plotting and executing attacks and killings on European soil, even with Israel demonstrating with evidence that Iran has nuclear archives and atomic warehouses and is developing and testing missiles, even with Iran's very clear support for terrorist proxies. It just doesn't seem as though Europe and other countries regard Iran to be as big of a threat as the U.S., Israel, and the Saudis do. Why is that? Why is there this disconnect?
I believe, as we've spoken before in your program, the position that the European Union has taken for a long time and the denials about the fact that Islamic Republic is a terrorist regime only has one purpose, and that's economic. They wanted to keep their ties with the Islamic Republic and all the investments and so on. They've been getting all kinds of discounts and oil and everything else from them. Furthermore, for a long time, there's been a history that United Kingdom wanted to actually control Iran. They really don't like the fact for the Iranian people to be allies of the U.S. However, having said all that, every day there's new news, as you mentioned, that the Islamic Republic has had terrorist activities inside the soil of European countries. Just last week, Holland, out of all places, they came out and they finally proved that 2 murders of its citizens a couple of years ago were done by the hands of the Islamic Republic agents. Denmark said the same thing. Germany, France, United Kingdom talked to the Islamic Republic ambassador 2 days ago because of the hostage taking that they're doing with a UK citizen. So more and more the European companies are finally coming to their senses that now the time is right to support the Iranian people and finally help topple the Islamic regime without any military action, and only through their moral and other supports of the Iranian people will non-violently bring down this regime.
And to that end, Pompeo is pushing for a diplomatic solution to this. He's convening the global summit on Iran in Poland. As you say, perhaps the Europeans are finally starting to get it. They're even imposing some sanctions on Iran after those attacks. But what kind of diplomatic action do you think can really result in concrete changes on the ground?
Well, so far, as we know, the economic sanctions that U.S. mainly and its allies have been adding to the Islamic regime is really hurting the government. There's all kinds of signs about that I won't go into. The European countries slowly are coming about on the economic sanctions. But with regards to political sanctions, one of the first things that can happen is to basically kick out the Islamic Republic representatives from their embassies in the different countries in the world, take their seat away from the United Nations, and strip their seats on all these different subcommittees on the United Nations and international committees that they are. Iran, Islamic Republic needs to be isolated more and more every day, and we strongly feel that this year in 2019 we'll reach a point that the rulers of Islamic Republic have no choice to either leave Iran peacefully or face basically the people of Iran, that they're going to have an uprising and bring them down.
Iman, thank you so much. Appreciate your time tonight. Iman
Thank you.
Foroughtun.
Thank you for